Hello and welcome back to the top 4 round of the Hiroshima OP09 Wave 2 Championships. Now, you already know the matchup by the title and thumbnail, but looking at the deck distribution, very interesting in my opinion. We've only got 2 different archetypes within the top 4, 2 each of Marshall D. Teach, which you're going to be seeing in this match. The other 2 are Purple Luffy, so no matter what, the next video is going to be Marshall D. Teach versus Purple Luffy. So very curious to not only see how the mirror match goes, but also how the Purple Luffy and Blackbeard matchup goes. And don't forget, you can watch the next round, the finals, here on the channel tomorrow, or if you're a channel member watching this video early, then pretty soon, I would say. So make sure to subscribe. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. Very excited to maybe hit that milestone before 2025, but looking at this, it looks like the player on the right is going first. The alternate art Blackbeard player is going first. And before we actually get too much farther, just want to let you all know that I am watching the live broadcast, right? This is the official live stream of the championships. I don't own the rights to this. I'm just making my own unique English commentary for practice to maybe do the real thing someday. But we do know both of these players' lists. They will be shown in the video. Do not worry. But there are some key differences within this list. Some 4 cards, and we'll see if any of them make an impact in this game. I know at least one of these cards nobody has ever thought of before in this, so would be very curious to see. But we'll just have to wait and see with the player on the right side going first. I wonder if you want to go first or second in this matchup. I don't actually know. I feel like the even curve is very good for Blackbeard, right? Because you play a ton of different 2s, 4s, right? Even Lafitte, which is a 1 cost, is pretty much 2 because you have to rest a Dawn in order to use his effect and do the searching. So I would say probably the even curve is really good for Blackbeard. So if I had to take a guess, the player on the left is the one who chose to go second, and player on the right, this is their hand right now. They've got the full lead or honeycomb stage right there. Nice finger pistol to build up the trash. They got a Von Augur, which is good. Doc Q, a clutch card that we've seen in the Blackbeard matches so far up to this date, and also a 2K Shiryu. So could be really interesting. Has that full lead stage, so does have a couple different search options in the hand, but you do have to pitch a card in order to use the stage's effect. The player on the left, though, has This Is My Time, which is probably going to be a very nice card to utilize early to build up the trash and also find something. You got Laboon there to do a little bit of comboing with that Doc Q potentially, and the Von Augur is what I'll call him, alongside the 10-drop Blackbeard. So, if I had to take a guess, who do I think has the better hand? I feel like the player on the left has a better hand, right? The combination of like Laboon, Doc Q, just so good, and especially with the Von Augur as well, is really, really nice. And then just already finding the 10-drop Blackbeard could be really good. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Starting off the turn with one nice, that looks like a Magellan Gold Dawn, and using the full lead stage, pitching the finger pistol. So opting not to use that one, is going to find a Jesus Burgess is how you pronounce that one. Going to put that in hand. A great card that we've seen so many times in these couple tournament runs that Marshall D. Teach has just done phenomenal at. So we'll see if it continues on. And 2 Dawn here, top decking a This Is My Time, has 2 different options. 1, you can play the Doc Q, or 2, maybe set up the hand a little bit, playing both of the This Is My Time. So is opting at least for the first one. Got a couple different options there. Grabs the Lafitte. The Lafitte could be good in a future turn to do a little bit more searching, and is going to go ahead and play that other This Is My Time, guaranteeing at least 3 cards in the trash every time you use it. Finds a Stronger in there and another Lafitte. So we'll see if he grabs the 2K or maybe another search option in this one. Does not find the Jesus Burgess like the player on the right side, but could be interesting to see how this plays out. Neither leader probably is going to use the leader effect, right? Because I don't think any of the cards in any of their decks have on play effects. So that's really interesting in my personal opinion. You get to save a couple cards every single game, right? Because you don't have to pitch them through the leader effect. Ends up grabbing double Lafitte, I believe. So has the hand full of Lafitte for potential draws in the next upcoming turn, is now at 3 on the right side. So could go ahead, play that dot Q if you wanted, and is going to start off with the full lead stage to pitch that Von Augur and look around for something. There is a full lead stage as well, but it's any Blackbeard Pirates type card. But after pitching a Von Augur, is going to go ahead and get another Van Augur. Didn't want to get another full lead stage. Is going to go ahead, swing 5 at lead with this one. Is going to take that, garner another card in the hand, a nice full lead stage, and is going to rest 3. Is going to actually play the Shiryu. So we haven't seen this card played down, I think, at all. But Dawn ×1, when attacking, you can draw 2 and trash 2. You have to trash 2 first, and then you get to draw 2 cards. So if this character survives and gets to swing, right, it's going to have a lot of value in this to be able to hand filter and find different key pieces of the puzzle. Player on the left side now going into their 5 Dawn turn has a couple different things that they want to, or I'm sorry, 4 Dawn turn. I don't know why I said 5. 4 Dawn turn has a little bit of stuff that they got to think about right now with this Shiryu. So he's going to go ahead, swing 5, gets a nice "this is my time" trigger, a very, very good trigger. Basically gets that activate main, or gets that main phase effect of finding a Blackbeard Pirates card on the top 3 and trashes the other 2. Finds another Burgess, I believe, off of that. So hand filled with Burgess. Remember that Burgess can't be KO'd by effects if your leader is a Blackbeard Pirates, or I'm sorry, just can't be KO'd by effects in general. So in this matchup, it seems that Burgess is probably a really good card, right? Because as a black deck, the Blackbeard Pirates deck is so good at being able to pop different characters, and that's really revolving around the game plan. So player on the left playing the full lead stage is going to go ahead and find a Burgess of their own, but also finds a Liberation as well. So the Liberation, I think, could be pretty nice because you can negate an effect of an opponent's character, and then if the character is a cost of 4 or less, you could KO it. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but Liberation would get around the can't be KO'd by effects effect on the Burgess. So is going to go ahead and do some Lafitte, searching the Lafitte, going to be drawing several cards hopefully in here, and does at least find one. Plenty of options in the hand as a Blackbeard Pirates type card. I see a Stronger in there, a Liberation again, Von Augur, right? Is going to go ahead and grab that Liberation because, as I mentioned, could be a very valuable card in this matchup when your opponent starts laying down the Jesus Burgesses. So is going to have a decent sized hand. Hand advantage is on the left, and for the final Dawn is going to play the other Lafitte, right? So obviously probably one of the Lafittes may go down with the kind of board control, right? You've got the Shiryu there and also the Teach Leader, but forces them to maybe use one of their other KO effects to get rid of the other Lafitte, so then you don't draw more cards in the next turn. So does top deck one of the crazy cards that I was talking about earlier, this Nefeltari VV. So this VV right here is basically just a 3 cost 1000 power blocker. So this is a 4 of in the Blackbeard list, a very interesting card, not being a Blackbeard type card. It's an Alabasta type card, but very valuable. And so off of that full lead stage, finding the 10 drop wanted poster Blackbeard, a very, very nice card. I love those wanted poster cards in OP09. I wish I pulled one myself in my box, unfortunately not, but with 5 Dawn does have to make a couple decisions of what you want to do. You could go like a little bit wider, right, and go 5 lead, 5 Shiryu, and 4 for the Burgess. The Burgess might be nice to be able to use, but is maybe thinking about the Doc Q, so may go a Doc Q Vivi combo. With that right there, they would be able to take a knockout potentially on both of the Lafitte's, stop the draw of the player on the left side. Is going to go ahead and attach one, like I mentioned, to the Shiryu, and is probably going to go ahead, swing, use that Dawn ×1 when attacking effect. Probably also thinking about on this as they sort around their cards, what cards they maybe want to pitch for the Shiryu effect. So is going to go ahead and use that Shiryu on that, and is going to go ahead and use that trash too, so pitching the Stronger and the Doc Q, and is going to go ahead and draw 2 cards, drawing a Finger Pistol and another Burgess. So lots of Burgesses on the right side, and the Blackbeard Pirate is going to go ahead and swing. I'd imagine that a Burgess is going to come down on the field at the end of this swing once it's completed. So as the Blackbeard, right, in this matchup, you got to really think about what you counter out of and what life you take, right? We usually see Blackbeard leaders take life pretty quickly, right, and pretty easily, but the Finger Pistol is going to go ahead and activate to get rid of that Shiryu, but the Burgess is going to come down now, played onto the field. I believe there is, hold on, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 cards. For every 4 cards in the trash, the Burgess gains 1,000 powers. So plus 2,000 power makes it a 7,000 power character. Doesn't get around the cost effects of the character. It is still a 4-cost character, but will be able to help it in battle, that's for sure. So gonna start off with a full lead, going to be pitching the Laboon. Laboon maybe not really needed in this matchup, and is going to go ahead and find a couple cards. I saw a Vasco shot in there as one of the cards. I think another 1-drop, so could have been a Lafitte or a Stronger. There is, I believe, one more 1-cost. I don't know if it's been showed yet, or no, it's a Lafitte. I was going to say, I don't want to spoil what it is right now until we see it, like the Vivi, but either way, got a Vasco shot right there. Vasco shot, a very interesting card that maybe they don't really want to use too much. Maybe thinking, okay, do I want to get more out of the draw or the small blockers? And it looks like the draw is what they're going to choose with that Lafitte. And going to go ahead, use the Lafitte again, just continuously draw. These Blackbeard Pirates definitely going to be cycling through their deck right now. Does find the 10-drop Blackbeard, so is going to go ahead and grab that. I feel like that's one of the auto grabs in this deck that you want to use, starting to sort out their bottom decks in this. Very interesting, maybe thinking that they'll reach the cycle like I just mentioned in the game. Is going to go ahead, swing 5, picking up the cards and putting them in their hand. This is one of the first times I feel like I've seen the Japanese players actually pick up their cards from the table. I do enjoy this. He's really into it right now. With 3 life apiece, is going to go ahead, rest 4 for a Liberation. So just like I mentioned, the Liberation does get rid of the Burgess right there, does negate that. So a very, very good card inside the mirror match. We do know that the player on the right side is playing more Liberations than the player on the left, but player on the left finding one first in this game. And so is going to go ahead and potentially use this stage first, this full lead stage. What card do they pitch though? I think maybe they're leaning towards the Vivi, if anything, but is going to pitch the Finger Pistol. So doesn't really want to use the Finger Pistol too much. Is going to go ahead, look at that top 3, find another Finger Pistol, but the only card they can grab, I believe, is the This Is My Time, the Finger Pistol being CP, and the Laboon being an animal card. Is going to be able to at least put that in their hand, right? Maybe do a little bit more filtering and or not necessarily filtering, but building up the trash. And so is going to go ahead, use that event, finds 2 Lafittes and another This Is My Time. Is going to go ahead, grab the Lafitte, right, because you can't grab the same card off of that effect, and that 5,000 power swing from the leader is going to go ahead and take a knockout on one of the Lafittes. Another Lafitte hits the field. This is the game of Lafitte's right here, and is going to look through there, does find a 10 drop, so we'll see if they grab the 10 drop. I think there's a Von Auger in there as well, so, and a Liberation, maybe thinking about the Liberation over the 10 drop. Is thinking between the two. You know that you have the potential to cycle through the entire thing based on the amount of searches that you've done. But what is more important, getting the Liberation or getting the 10 drop, right? We do know that consecutive 10 drops is so good in Blackbeard decks and ultimately is going to grab the Liberation. So very, very interesting. Maybe is worried about other Burgesses coming down onto the field. And with the rest of the 4 is going to go ahead, play down another Burgess and pass off the turn to the player on the left. Player on the left now going into their turn. How much Dawn are they at, actually? At 8 Dawn, I believe, does have 2 Burgesses of their own. So we could see them just after this Full-LED event, pitching the Laboon and finding a specific card. Maybe just goes ahead and plays 2 Burgesses on the field. So is going to go ahead and find a This Is My Time. Not really a lot of options, right? The Full-LED or the Finger Pistol. You can't grab the Finger Pistol. So maybe thinking about playing it on this turn or thinking to play the other 2. I think especially with this Lafitte of, oh no, this is a swing at the Lafitte. So no searching on this Lafitte, no Dawn usage, just swinging. So as a 1000 on 1000 power battle, you can counter out of this, but you go down a little bit in hand advantage. So I think that's kind of what these players are battling right now, is a lot of hand advantage at this point. So making the first move on this Lafitte really puts a decision on the player on the right side's hand of like, do I let it go or no? And decides to let it go, builds up the trash. How big is this Burgess? 15 on the left, right side there. And now this 5K swing going at lead, puts 16 in there. So plus 4,000 power. And just like I mentioned, playing double Burgesses, these Burgesses are going to be 1, 2, 3, only plus 3,000 power. 1 card off from the extra 1,000. So 9,000 on the right side, 8,000 on the left side, and we move on to the player on the right's 9 Dawn turn. This is an interesting mirror match. Very different than I feel like a lot of other mirror matches that I've watched. But with the Liberation in hand, could get rid of one of these 2 Burgesses as well as play another Burgess of their own, right? You have multiple 10 drop Blackbeards in your hand right now, so you would be able to chain those in the future turns, and you can't play it right now anyways because you don't have enough Dawn, right, on your 9 Dawn turn. So we'll see exactly what he decides to do here. Pitching, what would he pitch off of this Full-LED if he decides to do it? Would you ever pitch the Shiryu, right? Or would you go ahead and pitch any of these other cards in your hand, right? Because once you get into the 10 and you start playing the 10 drops, you're not playing anything else on your turn, right? So maybe getting rid of the Jesus Burgess in this Full-LED stage could be an interesting choice, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Pitch that right here. Maybe confirming just right now that they're going to play the Liberation. I think found another 10 drop in the turn. Was that a 10 drop there? Ooh, finds a Liberation though, so Liberation or 10 drop. So we know we bottom decked another 10 drop earlier in this game. So this 10 drop is likely going to be the last one for a long time that we would see. But with the Liberations, they play 3 Liberations in this deck. So there's only one more after this that you can grab, right? Already playing one of them, I believe, or has one in hand already is what I should say. This is actually a really interesting choice. I don't know what I would actually grab in this situation, to be honest. I think maybe the Liberation is what I would grab. And there we go. The Liberation comes down, right? And is something that could be played. 2 of the 3 in their hand right now, and is going to swing that 5 at the Lafitte, is going to take that knockout. Not that the Lafitte was probably going to be doing any sideways after this turn. Is going to go ahead and count up the different cards in the trash. I believe still 4,000 power boost. So this is going to be a 10,000 power swing. Let me double check. 1, 2, 10,000 power swing is going to go ahead and take that. Going to be a nice 2K Shuryu right there. And with the 4 is going to go ahead, Liberation one of them, and play another. Oh, is just going to Liberation both of them. I thought he was going to play the Burgess, but maybe this is actually super smart from the Blackbeard of playing both of those Liberations at the same time, right? Because now we're in a situation where we're just going to be at the 10-drop Blackbeard wars, right? Who is the last person to play a 10-drop Blackbeard? The 10-drop Blackbeard does have that effect that's saying a character cannot attack. And so if you're the last one to play a Blackbeard, you're going to be the one that gets to attack with the Blackbeard. So is thinking about, before they do anything, playing the full lead, pitching the dot Q. What does he find? He finds another 10-drop, and there's one of the cards that, even though he can't grab it off this, that is unique to this deck, one that we haven't seen in this really too much at all. It's Manchury. So Manchury, a nice 2 of in this deck, and Bartolomeo as well, a nice 1 of. Does grab that 10-drop, now has the advantage with 3 10-drops in hand, can go ahead and win the 10-drop war, right, as one could say. So we'll see if he swings 5 and then just drops all 10. It looks like that might be the thing that he's going to do, but does he drop the 10-drop first, or does he swing the 5? That's going to be the real question. Does have to put those cards in the trash, is going to go ahead, put those right there to keep the trash all in one place, like to keep the board nice and clean. And this is a super interesting part right now of this game. This mirror match kind of feels miserable, I feel like. Is going to go ahead and swing 5 at leads, see if they can catch a card. So do you go ahead and use the Shuryu, right, or the Burgess, or maybe go ahead, use the Shuryu, and after the 10-drop wars, right, of these consecutive turns, maybe then go ahead and play the Jesus Burgess to round out the turn with all of those big cards in the trash. It's going to be really interesting to see this right here. But the thing that is kind of wild at this point, and you have a Burgess in the field already, so pitching that Shuryu, get that 10-drop down. So the 10-drop is going to say the Burgess can't attack. But the thing is that's going to happen in this game, right? Blackbeard is going to make sure the Blackbeard can't attack. Their Blackbeard's going to make sure his Blackbeard can attack. Then his Blackbeard is going to make sure that one of these Blackbeards can attack, right? And so you get in this cycle. This Burgess is probably going to get another swing in, right? If no Liberation is found, or if a Liberation is found, then that means that no Blackbeard is going to come down on the turn in the Blackbeard war. So this is so weird, in my opinion, but is going to go ahead and play that the Burgess cannot attack in this turn. And we'll see if he uses the full lead stage to pitch the dot Q, swings a nice old 5, and then goes ahead and plays that 10-drop. So starting with the full lead, is going to go ahead. I think the only option that you pitch here is dot Q, right? No, he's going to go with the Burgess. So is going to pitch that and put it away. What is he going to grab? Has a Shuryu, a Stronger, and a Von Augur. So is going to go ahead, grab that Shuryu. I think the 2 options that he was thinking of are Stronger or Von Augur. And is going to go ahead, play that 10-drop, freeze the other 10-drop, not being able for it to swing, and this 5,000 power swing is gonna go, and you can't free block. Remember, with these big giant 10-drops, they not only prevent this character from attacking until the next turn, but also on top of that, you negate the effect of one of the characters. So negating the blocker effect means that this is just a 12,000 power brick on the field, an absolute powerhouse on the field, and can't guard around this 5,000 power swing. So super interesting interaction that we've gotten into this game, and we're gonna see how this back-to-back continuously goes. Again, the card advantage, probably a huge deal, right? So is going to have to decide what they want to pitch, is going to go ahead with the Laboon. I would have thought maybe the This Is My Time was one that they could have pitched, right? Because the This Is My Time doesn't have counter on it, but does find another 10-drop Blackbeard. So do you grab another 10-drop Blackbeard and get all 4 of them in this game? That is the decision right now. What is more valuable, the 10-drop, right? Grabbing that and putting it in hand. Oh, decides to get the Stronger, so is going to go ahead and put the Stronger in the hand right here. Interesting to not get the other 10-drop. We've seen both players get in these situations where they're not just picking up the 10-drop, and this one comes down on field, is going to freeze that one. Their other one can't attack, and so now you just get a 5K swing. That is going to go to lead, going to pitch like the Doc Q, probably, right? Yeah, just a nice 1K and pass the turn. Now, the problem at this point, though, is that with your 10-drop is only going to be able to negate one of these blockers, right? This guy now has blocker again. This guy still has blocker. You can't swing with this guy, so your only options are swinging with the Burgess, and I don't know how many cards are in the trash right now, maybe 20. Only one of your swings is going to get through, so which one is it? You probably try to do the Burgess, if anything. You probably try to get that by, but now we move on to the player on the right's turn. The player on the right is going to go ahead and get the Lafitte. Lafitte, a nice card, but maybe not nice right now at this point. Probably the card that you pitch off of the full lead. I think both players are discussing how much they have in the trash right now. Is going to go ahead. Yes, I love when they put it in rows of 4. So we got 5. So this Burgess is a 10,000 power character right now with 22 cards in the trash, getting a 5,000 power boost. So he's going to go ahead, probably get a 23rd card from this Lafitte, right? Or do you try to keep the Lafitte because you want, nope, just going to pitch the Lafitte. I was going to say, probably helps you get closer to the 10-drop that you bottom decked earlier, but is going to be able to get a 2K Stronger right here. So is going to go ahead, put that card in hand, and do they just put the 10-drop down? Do you swing? You probably always put the 10-drop down first, right? Because you want only one blocker to go through instead of 2, right? If you do have one blocker on the field, then your 2 swings, one of them is going to require either counter or a life, right? So is going to go ahead and swing first, is going to be a nice Burgess counter right there, and the 10-drop is coming down, doing the doing the freeze tactic, right? And maybe just passes the turn and is going to pass the turn. Says, you know what? I don't want this Burgess to get KO'd yet, right? There's no reason when you just have a free block. I'm going to keep this guy on the field, force you to have like another liberation or something of the sort. I do think there is. I don't think there's any liberations actually now in the deck. I think 2 of them have been used. We know one of them has been used, but is thinking about what they want to pitch on potentially this full lead stage. Is going to go ahead and go for it, but what do they get rid of? The This Is My Time or maybe the Sure You? There comes to a certain point where you're going to run into cards like Laboon, Bartolomeo, Manchuri, right? Cards that are not actually Finger Pistol is another one. Cards that are not Blackbeard Pirates cards. So is going to go ahead and get rid of the Burgess in their hand. Does find Lafitte Liberation. That's a great card right now. And also a Stronger. So may go ahead and grab the Liberation, right, to prepare for getting rid of this Burgess, maybe forcing the player on the right side to swing with the Burgess after they grab this, right? Information is gained. We know that the Burgess can go away. And so are they just going to, it looks like they're probably just going to slam down this 10-drop. Now, the real question is, do you swing with your Blackbeard blockers at this point? That is something that I'm super curious about. Is going to go ahead and get rid of that Sure You card. Does not want to give up a life right now. And so is now at 24 cards, I believe. So the Burgess is now 11,000 power on the right side. Absolutely crazy. I should be writing this down. What am I doing? And so is going to go ahead, swing at life, is going to go ahead and get it. It's going to be that Vivi. That Vivi, a great card, allows you off the trigger to just play the card. And so you get a nice free blocker on the field without having to pay any Dawn. absolutely crazy tech card that we've seen. I don't think you better buy your VV set at this point. It's from Starter Deck 8 in here, that Black Luffy deck. Very interesting tech choice. So is going to go ahead and pass off the turn right now after playing that 10 drop. I would imagine negated the 10 drop on the field. How many cards does this person have in their trash? 1, 2, 21, 22, 23. I think so. 24 on one side, 23 on the other. Absolutely crazy. Is going to go ahead, use that full lead stage, go to 25 cards in the trash. Is going to find Laboon full lead, and I couldn't tell what the other card was, but is going to grab a full lead. Remember, full lead can grab itself. It's just a Blackbeard Pirates type card that it can grab, but it's not really going to help you in this turn. So maybe thinking about just spreading around the dawn, maybe trying to catch this 10 drop, right? You do have probably one Blackbeard Pirate, Blackbeard 10 drop, Blackbeard Pirate, 10 drop Blackbeard. There's so many Blackbeards on the field right now. Look at this. Maybe try to KO that rested Blackbeard on the side. Maybe try to punish that, or maybe just go face, really just provide the tempo, and is going to attach all 10 Dawn and swing at the rested Blackbeard. So the curious part about this, depending on how much you've left, right, cards in your hand that have counter, can you get around this? So as of right now, only has 3K in counter, so cannot save these Blackbeards. It's either going to get KO'd or one of the blockers that are active are going to get KO'd. Super interesting spot for the player on the left right now, and we'll see exactly what happens. I would imagine that you probably let it go, right? You let it get KO'd. You don't want to, or actually, no, you have two 2Ks in your hand. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I thought it was a 2K, 1K, but that's stronger there. I think it's stronger and Bartolomeo that's in the hand. So two 2Ks. You could actually save this if you want to. You could push this Blackbeard to 16,000 to get around the 15,000 power swing from the leader right now. And is going to let it get KO'd? And is... They've got about 2 minutes left. You can't see the timer because my big head's in the way, but is going to let that Blackbeard go. Now moving up to 24 cards, which I don't think it matters because there's no Burgess is on the field. And it's just going to pass off the turn to the player on the left side. Does top deck assure you? So another 2K. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't Bartolomeo. It was a Shiryu. This player is playing Bartolomeo, though. So what do you do now? Do you try to aggressively find the Blackbeard that you put at the bottom? Start off the stage effect, right? Pitching the "this is my time." So very interesting, right? To be able to pitch that. Does have a couple cards here, but not a 10 drop. Does find a Shiryu of an Augur and a Vasco shot. So maybe gonna try to go a little wide in the board, get that Vasco shot, maybe trying to pay for KOing this Burgess, right? We could see that, and 2 more Dawn go to the Vasco shot, 3 more go to, man, this is a really tough situation right now. I feel like this mirror match is crazy. And so is going to go ahead, only attach 2 and swing 7,000 power. So what are you trying to do on this 7,000 power? Both of your 10 drop Blackbeards have the ability to attack, right? So are you just trying to get the 10 drops on the right side to be rested so then you swing your guys into him? Ends up taking the life. Gets a Daku, so life 2-1 going from left to right. Is going to go ahead, play that Liberation down, get that Burgess out of the way. I don't know how many cards everybody has in the trash at this point. I think I've given up on trying to figure it out. Is going to go ahead, play the Vasco shot, and now with 2 Dawn open is just going to pass the turn, right? Potentially fainting, and time has been called, so I don't know if they're going to make the player on the left 0 and the player on the right 1. It looks like, wait, go back in that motion again. And so it looks like 0, 1, 2, 3. That's what they're doing. So I think the player on the right side, the player on the left just got there past the turn off just in time. So I think player on the right side is turn 0. Remember, in One Piece and especially these tournaments, when you go into overtime, right, once time runs out, you get 3 extra turns. So the player that is in their current turn, when the timer goes off, they are turn 0. And then it goes turn 0, turn 1, turn 2, and then turn 3. And if the game's not over by then, they go by number of life. And if the number of life is tied, they go by cards in deck. And after that, I have no idea, but usually does not get to that point. But it might actually get to that point with these two players. They have a very similar amount of cards in trash and cards on field, so could actually happen. Fun fact. But is going to go ahead, use that full lead, finds a Lafitte. The Lafitte might be good to find the 10 drop that you bottom decked earlier. Still 2 10 drops you have not seen yet, right? Or at least are in your deck. You know you have 2 of them in the deck. Or I guess you could, one of them could be in life at this point. We don't know what that last life is, but has a liberation. The liberation could be nice to get rid of the Vasco shot right here. You could be using that, right? It's done otherwise on your field. Both sides having a small blocker, but the liberation would put you ahead on that side. Would allow you to not have to block with the Blackbeards on your field, because both sides having 2 Blackbeards. This is wild. Okay, so is thinking about 2 and then 4. So 2 might be the Lafitte, right, to do the draw. 4 might be liberation. And I think you definitely played the liberation before you do any sort of swinging, right? You don't want to get free value on these small blockers that are on the field. So is going to actually swing 7 first. So we're going to see if the Vasco shot gets blocked here, or maybe he counters out of this. If he decides to counter out of this or take the life, you can still take out the Vasco shot, but we'll see if he has kind of the foresight, right, to know that, oh, a liberation might be coming in this turn. Maybe I should utilize the Vasco shot now. We'll see what he decides to do. Decides to take the life. It's going to be a Von Augur. And so no 10 drops still at this point. What does he do with the rest of the Dawn? I think definitely playing the liberation is a guarantee, and we'll see what with the other 4 he decides to do. Maybe he swings with the Vivi, I don't know. But I gotta imagine that you're playing the Lafitte down this turn, right? You're definitely playing the Lafitte down because you're definitely still trying to cycle through your deck. 5 cards is a lot of cards, and we still need to find 2 Blackbeards. I wonder, are they all wanted poster ones, by the way? I think they are. Absolutely blinged out. I love that card. It's interesting, too, that the Dead or Alive part is in English. I think that's like a cool little tidbit. Brother, just play the liberation. Is gonna go ahead and play that liberation, take out the Vasco shot. So just like I said, you know, taking that guy out. And what do you do with the rest of the 4 Dawn? I think you're thinking about swinging with the Blackbeard. So is going to be a nice 16,000 power swing. The thing is, though, in that you can kind of punish. I think right now he's trying to gauge how much counter is in this Blackbeard's hand, right? On the left side, you can, if you want to, block and then go in with a couple 2Ks, right? There is no active Dawn left. So at 16, it would require like 2 2Ks and a 1K to get out of this, which you do have in hand. And then if the other 10 drop Blackbeard on the right side swings at your then rested Blackbeard on the left side, you can either counter out with the other counter card in your hand. Decides to take it, is going to get a Manchury off of that life. So interesting spot right now for the player on the left. Let's see how it pans out for him. Does get a Vasco shot right there. Can go ahead with this full lead and potentially find the Blackbeard because, well, I think it's probably harder to find for the player on the left. I think we saw that get bottom decked earlier in the match than the player on the right side. Also very gutsy to go down to 1 life when you're in overtime like this, because now I believe he is turn 1. So he has 1 more turn after this turn. So player on the right side has 1 more turn, right, as turn 2. And the player on the left side has turn 1 and turn 3 in this game. So we'll see what the pressure is for this person on here on this side. Maybe just try to get as many cards as possible, saying, you know what, I think we can get this win if I have the most amount of cards as possible available to me. That's exactly what he's going to do. We'll see what he decides to do. Oh my goodness. But the thing is like, you have to get rid of this Blackbeard, right? Because eventually the Blackbeards are going to swing. You don't have any life left and you only have so much counter, but these Blackbeards are 12,000 power cards. So it's like, how are you going to counter out of it? And so going in is going to go ahead and swing 7. The magic number for Blackbeard swinging is 7. When have we not seen a Blackbeard swing 7? In these games? Well, we saw the player on the right swing 15, and he is going to go ahead pitch 2, or a 2K and a 1K. I was going to say 2 2Ks, but it was just a 2K and a 1K. So gets out of that one right there. I wonder if they go in and swing at the 10 drops now. That one card in hand is going to go ahead play the Manchery. So the Manchery, an interesting tech in this deck, is going to be able, when you place 2 cards and rest that character from the trash to the bottom of the deck, you can add up to 1 character with the cost of 3 to 5 from the trash to the hand. So Manchery, a great card to grab the Burgess. And so maybe playing this Burgess down, he is going to play this down right here, is going to attach or rest 2 more to play the Vasco shot, and is potentially going to trash another card for the full lead, but decides against it, says, you know what, actually, I'm just passing the turn. How big is this Burgess? The other interesting thing, though, is the player on the right side, now player turn 2, Blackbeard lives. And so let me count up this player on the left side's trash. Holy cow, you guys are getting your money's worth on watching this game. 24, so an extra 6,000 power is going to make this an 11,000 power character, potentially with the counter, making it a 12,000 power character to battle with these Blackbeards. Insane. Is going to go ahead and use the full lead, does not find the 10 drop, so grabs the Van Augur and instead is going to at least get a counter card in hand, right? At least it's not a non-counter card. This deck doesn't run too many non-counter cards, I feel like. That's not like an event or stage, come to think of it. Is going to go ahead with the Dawn. What do they do? Their Vivi has lived in this turn. Do you take out the Manchery? Are you afraid of them going insanely wide to go for game, right? But you could go insanely wide, right? But if you go insanely wide, they have 3 blockers on field. So you'd have to swing with your Vivi blocker, and you hope that your Vivi blocker goes for game, right? And it's only a 1,000 power character, so that's tough. Is going to go ahead, swing the 8 with the leader, is going to prompt one of the 3 blocks on the left side. So again, turn 2 of overtime. If he doesn't win in this turn, the player on the left does get another turn in the game. 7 Dawn left. How do you manage this 7 Dawn? Officially, oh, is just going to attach the 7 onto this, and with 2 2Ks, you go to 9. And there we go. I think that's the L, right? That's the L. What happens after this? Just passing the turn, does not swing. The Manchery lives, crazy enough. Finds a This Is My Time, which is not going to help you at all, but can be pitched off the full lead stage if you want. So is going to go ahead, swing 9. I think definitely you go for game right now. You're not playing a 10 drop. This is the final turn possible of this game. You at least have to make him take a life in general. And with the 10 drop Blackbeards, insane. Is going to get this Laboon, swing the 12, is going to go ahead and block, is going to go ahead block, and the Burgess is going to go in. The player on the left with the Manchery wins the game in the final turn of overtime. So absolutely crazy game. Wow, that was nuts. That was nuts. I don't know what else to say about that game. That game was really long. Right, that was definitely somewhere around a 45-minute game in here. The overtime rules, I think in Japan, of the 5 minutes or 3 turns. I don't think they have the 5 minutes clause. I think they're just the 3 turns clause, at least in the top cut portion of these tournaments. So absolutely crazy. Let's look at these players' deck lists, right? It's probably most beneficial, I think, if I just pull up these lists side by side, right? Because they are relatively similar decks overall. The key differences in this, right? The player on the left, the player that won the match, they're playing a 2 of Manchury. Manchury, a great card, right? Allows you to find so many good pieces in this deck. Anywhere from 3 to 5. So basically like this whole row right here, right? The Bartolomeo, another tech card that this player decided to play. The 2K Shuryu, Laboon, the Burgess, and also the Von Augur. I think maybe adding one of these in combination with the Manchury to give you like another 2K option to be able to grab, right? Because stronger you can't grab because Manchury says 3 to 5 overall in the match. Was a little scary as well, only playing 2 of the Liberations and 3 full lead stages, but you find the full lead stage very quickly and it sticks for the entire game. So really you only need 1. So I could understand 3 of them making sense. Liberation, just a great card in the mirror, right? Being able to KO these Burgesses that applied so much pressure, they can't be KO'd by opponents' effects unless you nullify it in general. The player on the right side, though, looking at their list, the only card that's really different is this Vivi. We saw this Vivi get some airtime in the game, especially off of that trigger. Just a great card to get off of triggers being so good in the game if you're fortunate enough to be able to get it. Just a really cheap blocker, but this deck not playing Vasco Shot. So instead of playing the Vasco Shot, they played the Vivi instead. So a very interesting choice, right? Because Vivi, a card you can't find off the full lead, a card you can't find off of the This Is My Time, makes it really interesting because I've really liked Vasco Shot in the Blackbeard deck in general. Just a crazy, I mean, that was a nuts game. I highly doubt the finals will be as nuts. You already know because both of the semifinals were mirror matches of Marshall D. Teach and Purple Luffy. So now the matchup in the finals is Purple Luffy and Blackbeard. And we'll have it on the channel tomorrow, right, for all the regular viewers. But if you're a channel member, you could probably watch it right now, or at least soon when I finish uploading it on the channel for members. But anyways, thank you again so much for joining me. This is a long video, probably one of the longer ones of the Japan Championships. Super excited for this final to see Purple Luffy rematch Blackbeard and see if Purple Luffy can come away with the win, because I have no idea yet at the time of this recording, and I hope to see you at the next video.